It's been 6 months, 1 week, 4 days roughly since my gender confirming surgery. And since my last update, it's February. And it was, last month. It's when I started having some issues. It started out with yellow color, like a light yellow color with drainage from the canal. Then it went from that to when dilating in the morning, I've been bleeding every single morning when dilating. But in the evening, it doesn't cause bleeding in the evening, but in the morning, it's causing bleeding with the drainage in the mornings. There was one day that was really bad, and most of it's been not a huge amount, but enough to be concerned. Been having stinging, itching, and burning down there as well, which sucks. And it's all random where it's happening. I've noticed my labia majora is starting to fill in a little bit. It just depends on what position I'm in, if you can notice it more. Like if I'm standing or when I'm laying down, depending on what position my legs are in. It's like when I'm laying and my legs are down, you can notice it more. But if I have my legs up and spread apart, it flattens it down where you can't really notice any of the labia majora. But it's getting there. I noticed because the hormone difference, now it's affecting my body, is helping fill in the labia majora, but it's going really slow. Let's see here. I've noticed my breasts have filled in a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. So since my last update, which I've mentioned, I'm a cup size bigger but fuller, even though my measurements are the same. They're cup size bigger because the fullness where it was underdeveloped has filled in, and it's still slowly filling in. And since surgery recently, I noticed my leg hair has become much finer and thinner, and I've lost some. So, yeah. And my mental state, well, where I've mentioned before, the scar tissue that's at the vaginal entrance next to the perineum. Been doing everything I need to with the massages, but it caused severe stinging. That was so painful. I broke down and cried. And it was earlier this month. And it felt like electrical shocks. Like if you think of how lightning, when it goes off and it spreads, it went up the whole right side. Yeah. So when I've been massaging it, it's been causing that stinging, mostly on the right side, sometimes the left, and around the urethra. It's still a little bit has swollen spots that when massaging causes it to sting a little bit. So it's the swelling slowly going down, but it's still there. And with all this going on, the thing that's frustrating is my appointment was supposed to be on the 11th of this month of February of 2022 with the surgeon to talk about revision on the labias, like the labia minora, mostly. Because what he's wanting to do is lift it back up because it's wrinkled down for some reason. Instead of lift it up and flat, it's still wrinkled down. It was to discuss more on that. But that appointment was canceled because he wasn't going to be in office, and they were having me see the other person in plastic surgery. So that appointment was set. They had to cancel that because she wasn't in office. So they rescheduled it. That was supposed to be Tuesday, and because how close it is, because I was able to get an appointment with the surgeon, because how close the appointment was with him, they wanted me to see him instead, because if I need a revision or any other specific type of care, I could get it much easier with him than, with the other person. So it's kind of frustrating not knowing exactly what's going on with all the healing down there. Why I started having, because what happened was at first, when I was healing from surgery, how there's that drainage in the blood and whatnot, and then you stop bleeding, then it's like the drainage is clear. Then once in a while, there'd be a little bit of color in it. But I don't know why all of a sudden I started having light yellow in the color, then bleeding every morning. Then all the other issues with the pain of the stinging, burning, and itching, and also the other pain I've been having is that pain that radiates up inside where the testicles sat before puberty, that spot where it radiates if it gets kicked or too much pressure against it. I've been feeling like that kind of pain, being kicked in the testicles as well. And with everything I mentioned, I don't know what's fully going on because I haven't been able to get in to see someone. Hopefully they don't cancel my appointment next week on Tuesday. That's kind of getting to me just a little bit, not knowing what's going on, because this is really uncomfortable and painful, to the point where yesterday, because it's also hormonal in my time of the month, which I'm having the cramps and bloating, which the days I used to have it changed to where it's at now, the days, but it caused some dysphoria. I don't want to go in detail, but the dysphoria was because the cramps and that pain, and the pain of the cramps, I don't know why, but it triggered dysphoria of that feeling of not being able to have children, like becoming the whole not being able to become pregnant thing. It just triggered that dysphoria for some reason yesterday morning. And with all this stinging and burning, there's been times where it's just been a little bit emotional with it because how uncomfortable and painful it is, especially a few weeks ago when it stung really bad and I ended up breaking down and crying because it just hit me all at once. All the emotions just came out all at once, and So I'm just trying to deal with all that. And I just thought I would just do an update so everyone knows how I'm doing, what's going on, and from my experience, what can happen when healing from surgery, even though it's like been a little more than about like half a year since having the surgery. These things can still happen. So, yeah. And I'm still leaning towards having the revision done because I've just been thinking about it. The revision on the labia minora to lift it back up and flatten it so it's not like flattened down and wrinkled. So in the future it doesn't end up causing dysphoria. But the asymmetry I'm actually okay with. I'm used to it. That's just the way my body is. The lengths, how they're different. From the clitoral hood down to the perineum, how the length is different. I'm actually okay with that. So that's pretty much where everything's at with it all. So until my next update, just gonna wish and hope for the best. So until then, boo.